everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Ellie, I'm a long-distance hiker and backpacker, and this week's a bit of a special week because my YouTube channel Ellie Hikes turns 3, actually almost to the day I'm filming this. So it's been 3 years since I've uploaded my first YouTube video on this channel, and a lot has happened since. Otto and I not only walked end to end across the UK, but thousands of kilometers since then, uploading almost 170 videos and growing this channel from basically 0 subscribers to now close to 18,000, which is unbelievable. It's been one hell of a ride. It's been a crazy experience, and I thought this milestone today would be a great opportunity to reflect a little bit on the channel and to share with you the good, the bad and the ugly of doing YouTube, being a hiking YouTuber. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's start with the good stuff, the good things that happened through this journey. One of the biggest things for me personally is confidence. Talking to a camera, especially in a language that's obviously not my native language, was so hard in the beginning and it felt so awkward. And at times I felt really uncomfortable. I had never done anything like that. In my everyday life, I was, at least back then, a very shy introvert person. So putting myself out there, talking to a camera, was really, really hard. I hated hearing my own voice on camera in the beginning. I cringed so much when looking back the footage to edit everything. It was really, really strange. For this video, I went through my oldest footage, which is from my first or second video, I think my second video. Just have a look together, but be warned, it's probably going to be very weird, very cringy. We started in Diet Head this morning and are now hiking towards John O'Groats. I think we've already covered 8 miles and the weather is so beautiful. It's almost hot already. I think I'm gonna need more sunscreen. Oh, I honestly don't know what to say. This was quite hard to watch actually, and you can really see how uncomfortable I still was in front of a camera, just searching for words in my head, just not being comfortable. You can even hear like heavy breathing because I was so nervous every time I turned on the camera. And I feel like obviously it's not perfect. It's still hard at times speaking to a camera to a bigger audience in a foreign language, but I feel like I have come a really long way since this first clip, which is really, really nice to see and made me quite happy that I'm way more comfortable. This gave me such a boost also in my everyday life, which is really, really nice to see. Another really good thing that has come from my journey on YouTube, from filming and uploading, is that I found a great creative outlet for myself. I've always been a creative person. I love doing arts. I've always loved photography, but doing YouTube videos combines all that, the visual side of things, storytelling, editing. And I honestly really, really enjoy this whole process of sharing my experiences, trying to inspire people, trying to show people my experience, my real raw emotions. Another great thing that has come through posting videos regularly is that YouTube helps me to sustain my travels, which is honestly such a huge privilege that I feel so grateful for, that I'm basically able to live this life that I wanted for myself and being able to make money doing it and sustain this lifestyle, which is huge. When I started it, that was obviously a dream of mine, but I wasn't sure if that was even possible, and I was so insecure in the beginning whether this would be a big fail. And I'm not making big YouTube money or anything like that, but it grows steadily and it really helps me to support my hikes, and I'm really, really grateful for this. Is sometimes really have to pinch myself thinking about it. And the same goes for donations through Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-fi.com, which is so incredible to think about. The fact that people, lots of you, are actually watching these videos and buying me coffee. Sometimes 3 or 5 coffees is just incredible that people enjoy these videos so much. And it really, really makes such a difference. It really helps to keep me going, to keep us going. And last but not least, another good thing that has come from this is this little community on here. And I really enjoy reading all your comments, your suggestions, that so many of you recommend places, walking routes, trails, everything. I really like connecting with you, reading about your experiences. It's such a big, happy place. I feel like almost everyone on here is so positive. It's so nice to have this little community of just kind people, like-minded people, people loving the outdoors. And now for the bad of being on YouTube, posting videos. And it's not really like bad, but things that are maybe a bit of a challenge. And the first and probably most obvious is editing. And as I said, I really like and enjoy the editing process, but at the same time, it's quite a challenge because not only do you need a lot of time, but also resources like having enough power, especially when I'm out hiking, but also the headspace to do it, because it's not something that is done easily on the go. At least it's not for me. Maybe there are other people that are more skilled at this, probably. But for me, it's not something that I can just do on the go. I need to feel rested. I need to have a good headspace for it. So it's hard for me to do it, for example, if my tent is shaking in the wind on a long trail where I worry about lots of things, or when I'm planning my next day or anything like that. I need to be able to focus on it, and obviously that's not always easy to be in this headspace when I'm out hiking. Just for reference, and because I got a couple of questions about that, each video takes me between at least 20 hours to 35 plus hours of work. So as you can imagine, doing that every week just for a video is obviously quite a good amount of time. And then obviously if I'm out hiking, I actually spend the entire day hiking, taking care of Otto. For a video, I roughly have about 2 to 3 hours of just like footage that I film from my hikes that I have to go through. And then my process is typically to do some sort of rough cut. So usually I edit, in the first step, I edit out the bits when I'm setting up the camera or walking back to the camera or something like that. And in the end, that leaves me with a rough cut of 1 to 2 hours of footage. And then comes the tough and really time-consuming part, that is cutting it down properly, because obviously 1 to 2 hours is way too long. I typically aim for 20 to 35 minutes per video, removing mistakes that I said, for example, choosing between takes and cutting it down as much as I can to make it consistent and not too long. But at the same time, obviously, I don't want to lose any of the storyline. I don't want to reference things that I had cut out earlier so that it still makes sense. All these things, obviously, that takes a while. You need to go over it and over it again. If you've watched my last videos, you have probably realized that I recently started to do more abstract, more little bit poetic voiceovers. And obviously these take a really, really long time, which is why I only started to do them recently, because I always felt like, okay, that's so much work. I don't know, especially because English is not my native language, how to put them into words. And now that I've added these, I really like these new videos, and lots of you have given me really positive feedback, but obviously that's also a lot of work. Someone asked if I do these like voiceovers or more poetic descriptions on the go, and it really depends. I oftentimes take notes of specific moments at the end of the day, just so that I can remember them for these voiceovers, for example. How to properly put it into words, that takes a really, really long time. And then there are aspects like adding place names, text on screen, color grading, which I don't spend too much time on, just because otherwise it would be almost impossible to do it on the go, but I do it a little bit. And then there's, of course, music, which is for me personally the hardest part. I spend so much time on that, and I don't really know why this is so hard for me, but sometimes I have really trouble finding the right music to go with it, because it has to be just right And sometimes I just listen to different tracks over and over just to find the perfect one. And sometimes I get a bit lost in that process. But yeah, that's something that I really struggle with, and that takes a lot of time. And then once I've picked the music, I have to adjust audio levels that when I'm talking over the music, that you can still hear me. And then once the video is ready, I have to rewatch it. If it's all okay, then it has to export. I have to upload it to YouTube, and then obviously you still need a thumbnail, this little image when you click on the video. I need to come up with a title that's hopefully great for the algorithm, so that the video is searchable on YouTube, things like that. Adding the description, all those little things. So in total, it just takes a really long time. And as I said, it's a great job, and I'm really privileged to be able to do it. But it's definitely a lot of work, and I think it's more work than people might realize. Because if you're just seeing a short video, you don't necessarily see all these things that are behind that. And I sometimes really struggle with that. Not because I don't like it, but just because it's a lot, and it's a lot to fit into a full week of hiking. And the second thing that was and still is hard for me is the realization that I cannot keep up with comments under my YouTube videos. For the first, I think, even 1.5 years, I basically answered every comment that I got under the videos. And obviously I had way less views, so it was easier to keep up with. But I don't know, just when I started out, I felt so lucky and so happy that people were commenting, that I thought it would be great for me to answer everything, just to show people how much I appreciate the comments. And don't get me wrong, I still appreciate the comments so much. But obviously, if you don't just want to reply a thanks and just copy and paste it, but if you want to do a more detailed reply, it just takes hours and hours each week. And to be honest, I can't always do that, especially if I'm out of signal for a couple of days and then coming back, it's double the amount of comments, obviously, that have piled up while I was away. And at some point, it was just getting too much, and I couldn't catch up anymore. It just feels strange that people are taking time out of their day to watch the videos, to leave a comment, and then for me not replying back. That's, yeah, something that's quite difficult for me. But I just want you all to know that I read all the comments. I really appreciate them so much. I try my best to answer as much as I can. And now, after the good and the bad, it's time for the ugly. And there are actually two main things that came to my mind when I was thinking about that. Number one, which is fortunately very rare, is the occasional nasty comment. So not constructive criticism or feedback or anything, just mean comments that I sometimes get from people that apparently watch many of my videos, but I don't know, just to make a point of saying things that I can't really change, or commenting on things that are out of my control, just in a mean way. It doesn't happen often, but I would be lying if I said that this never got to me. For me personally, the biggest thing and the ugly thing, so to say, of being on YouTube is probably the constant pressure. Because I obviously rely on YouTube, on clicks and views to sustain my travel. There's always this underlying pressure to keep posting, to stay consistent. And then there's also the element of comparison. YouTube always shows you, like in my back end, shows me how my current video performed in relation to my last 10 videos that I uploaded. And then obviously, if, for example, your current video where you worked very hard for is only ranked 5th out of 10, it's obviously very easy to doubt yourself, to think about, okay, what could I have done better? Is there anything that I need to change? Why isn't this video performing very well? So there's always this pressure of, okay, improve this, improve that. And then there's always this dilemma that the algorithm likes and tends to push things that are more clickbaity, more extreme, like camping on the most dangerous mountain in Britain, or wild camp in the biggest storm of all times, things like that. And deep down, I know that if I would do videos like this that are more flashy, more clickbaity, that create more drama and do things that have a lot of potential to go wrong, like intentionally setting off in a big storm somewhere. I know that these videos would probably do much better than other of my videos and that they would probably perform very well. But for me, that's just not the way to go, even if my views obviously could be higher compared to other channels. But one thing I never wanted to do and I've never done is that even if I make a little bit of money on YouTube, I never ever want to make videos just for content. I chose this lifestyle and quit my old 9-to-5 office job to be free. So now I don't want to work for the algorithm only. I somewhat need to film, and obviously this is also work for me now, doing these videos, filming, editing, but I still only do things that I'm genuinely interested in and things that have been on my bucket list, even though I know that there would be lots of videos that I could do with probably even less effort, shorter videos, overnight trips, setting off in a storm that probably would even perform a lot better. But I don't want to do something and film it just for the sake of a video. I genuinely want to do things that bring me joy, that I'm interested in, and share my real and honest experience doing these things and not chase drama for clicks and views. But yeah, it's sometimes hard to realize that this is a bit of the ugly truth, that the algorithm just tends to favor these more extreme stuff. And of course, I also try to find a good clickable title that sparks interest in people to click on the video. Obviously, that's part of the game on YouTube, so to say. But for me personally, bottom line is that I only do things that I want to do, and I never do things just for a video. Before ending this video, I want to answer a few of your questions that I got about this whole YouTube side of things, about filming and editing. What program or app am I using? I've talked about that before. I'm using the app LumaFusion for editing my videos. It's, I think, optimized for iOS, but I think there's also an Android version. There's no desktop version, so it's only, you can only use it on tablets, mobile phones. And for me, it works really well. It's not the most advanced, most professional, but it's also not the most basic one. There's a lot of things that you can do that go towards the more professional range of editing. Another question that I got is where my music is from and whether I have copyright issues oftentimes. All my music is from Epidemic Sounds, which is a music licensing platform. They have thousands, tens of thousands of tracks, sound effects, things like that, that you can download and use. And as a result of that, I never had any copyright issues because obviously all that I can download through this service. That's, there are no copyright claims on that because I'm paying for this service, but there also are copyright-free options. There's also, if you're on YouTube, there's also a music library that you can use on your videos. Next up, I got a question, tips for beginners, people that want to film their hikes, their vacation maybe. To start this, you don't need a lot. You probably have a phone already. That's enough for filming in the beginning. There are a lot of great, inexpensive or even free editing apps. Even LumaFusion, there's no subscription. It's just a one-time payment. And then you can use it, but there's also lots of free editing programs, apps available. And then my advice would be to just do it. Just practice filming yourself. It would be very cringy, very awkward in the beginning. I was there as well, as you've seen the beginning of this video. But just keep doing it. Just practice and you will get better and better, and it will definitely get easier the more you do it. And then if you want to put your video together, try to film as many different angles, situations, moments as possible. For example, don't just film the landscape like this, but try different angles, like macro shots on plants, on something, on maybe animals, wildlife, some walking shots, or where there's movement in the shot, like you walking, maybe by setting the camera down or at an angle. Then different situation, if you get a coffee, if you get some food somewhere, just different shots that will help you create a bit of a storyline that make the footage more interesting. And then last but not least, does YouTube feel like a chore with the algorithm dictating things? And the answer to that is yes and no. It is work for me now and it takes a lot of time. But of course, we all need to work in this society to earn money, to sustain our lives, our lifestyle, our travels, whatever it might be. And obviously you don't, even if you have a great job, you don't always want to go to work. And that's the same for me. Sometimes there are days where I feel like, if I could just read a book and not editing for a couple of hours at the end of a hike. I have that too, because as I said, it is work for me now, and I need to do it to keep living this life and to earn money. But most of the time, I just feel very privileged to be able to earn my money this way, that I've found a way to make money while also following my absolute passion. So it's not something that's really hard for me that I don't want to do, but obviously there are days where it's a bit harder than other days, but overall I'm just so incredibly lucky to be able to do this. So yeah, this is it. 3 years on YouTube, the good, the bad and the ugly. Overall, I'm just really, really grateful. Grateful that I get to do this, grateful for all the places that Otto and I have seen, and especially grateful for all of you that have been watching these videos for the past 3 years. All your comments, the messages, your very generous support on Buy Me a Coffee, or even you just taking the time to watch these videos. It genuinely means the world, and I'm so grateful for each and everyone who keeps sticking around, who keeps being patient when I'm behind on posting a video. All of this wouldn't exist without you, wouldn't be possible without you, and I'm just beyond grateful for everything. This is it for this video. Let me know in the comments if there are any other questions that you want me to answer about this journey on YouTube, about filming, about editing. Otto and I are slowly getting ready to return to the UK in April. So definitely stay tuned for our next adventure. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, to not miss any videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the last 3 years on here for everything. And I hope we'll see you soon. Bye.